The guys behind the From Corner to Corner podcast are diving deep into Montgomery County High School sports with the Community Trust Bank Coaches Corner. Join us as we talk local high school athletics with your local coaches. Whether you're a student athlete or a screaming fan, this is the place to turn to get the inside scoop before the next big game. And now it's time for the show with Sean Kiper, Neil Payne, Adam Muncy, and Wes Crouch.
Welcome back to another live episode of the From Corner to Corner Coaches Corner.
If it's not me and Neil ruining it, it's these talking girls. I tell you,
I'm just used to it to this point.
And I mean, 3/4 of them were here just a couple weeks ago. Like they know the routine.
They're here more than I am.
When my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut.
But your hand didn't go up.
It did. That's what I forgot that.
You forgot the hand.
Well, anyways, before we get started, let's thank our sponsors. We got the Community Trust Bank. We got Kim Soft, 22 Sweet Treats, CRC Renovations, Caswell Pruitt Realty, Southern Sweeties, Jacobs Auto Body, and one of our newest one is Menifee County Kentucky Farm Bureau, Brett Wehunt, the agent in charge there. They are our sponsor for our Menifee County Player of the Month. Or Athlete of the Month. Yeah, so that's coming soon.
Hey, so I didn't get to say my member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's because I was interrupted at the beginning. We didn't even say we were at the Community Trust Bank Studios.
Say it now.
Okay. Live from the Community Trust Bank Studios, it is the Community Trust Bank Coaches Corner.
I feel like that's not the normal lead.
Not the normal.
It's not.
Nope.
That's all right. Move on.
We lost it.
Let's just cut it and move on.
See what they just threw me all off.
So, Neil, who do we have with us tonight?
Well, we have Coach Dustin High, fresh off a huge win, and I think that was you all talked about that win when you all were here last time. Yep. And he brought 3 returning players and a new player. So we will let Miss Jarvis introduce herself.
I'm Savannah Jarvis. Nice to meet y'all.
Savannah was our Athlete of the Week last week in her big debut for Montgomery County. She had 16 points and 17 rebounds. I was at that game. Awesome game.
Thank you.
So welcome to the From Corner to Corner podcast. So, Coach, big time win, right? Cooper was ranked what in the state?
They were top 5.
They were, and I've seen anywhere from 3 to 5.
Yeah.
So
Let's just say they were number 1.
yeah. Well, and
They played number 1 the night before they played us.
yeah, I think talking to Coach Holthouse, I think that was a 4-point game with about 4 minutes to go, and he was pleased with the way they played the night before, and you could tell in our game on Saturday. I got a glimpse of, I think it was I don't remember if it's Freihofer. One of their main players was coming across half court right before the half, and just kind of had a tired look in her eye, and it was like, I think we might have already been down 10 or so at that point, and it was one of those moments in the game where it's like, wait a second, like that's not the look you're supposed to have. And they played a game the night before, but they are one of the best teams in the state, just as far as their discipline and their ability to just sit down and guard and do the right things and repeat those things over and over throughout the game. And that was almost the first time that I can recall seeing kind of a chink in the armor from any of them. Because, I mean, they've always been almost like a machine. They just do it. And we talked about that at halftime and really didn't get out to a great start in the second half. I think they stretched it to 14 or 15 early in the second half, and I told the girls today, we watched a little bit of it on film, and I don't feel like we, at any point in that game, played to the scoreboard. I don't think at any point did we hang our heads or play harder or anything like that based on where the scoreboard was. We just kept playing and just kept coming back and kept guarding and just saw a couple go through the net and had a couple 3-point plays, and you could just kind of feel it turn there at the end of the third quarter, and they finished it off in the fourth.
So, I mean, it truly was a tale of two halves.
Mm-hmm.
So, at what moment? And you talked about the young lady who had tired look in her eyes. But at what moment in the second half were you like, we can do this?
And I told her today, probably my first true fist pump of the season was Reaghan got it right in front of our bench and drove it and had an and one. And it was like, that was one of those moments where it was like, here we go.
Yeah.
And that was also, she missed a free throw. Shay got a tipped it out. Reaghan picked it up and hit Hayden streaking through, and it ended up being a 4-point trip. And it was like, and you can't describe it. I mean, it's just one of those moments where you just feel like, all right, today's the day.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was right after that, Hayden, you came down and you shot one and you let it go. I said, oh, that's deep.
Yeah.
And then it went in. I was like, okay, here we go.
That's one of those. No. Yes, yes.
You see Coach High hold his breath in the film.
That was off. Reaghan had brought it in transition and turned and just kind of flipped it back.
Yeah.
And like, those are the shots that you step into. And I've told Hayden, like, volleyball line and in, like, you get that kind of rhythm and you got that kind of space, like, I'm all right with that. And
she was pushing that volleyball line limit on that one.
it was probably about that range. And then it wasn't. Shay hit hers in that stretch too.
Right.
And that might be the best pass of the season to this point. Sophie Fouch drives the baseline and throws that diagonal pass, and it was one of those penetrations where you could see it kind of collapsing on her, and it's kind of like, oh, where are we going? And she made that pass, and Shay's over there by herself and knocked it down, and like, they were making plays. It wasn't like it was breakdowns or anything like that. I think it was, which Dustin Luker is our numbers guy. He sent me a text message yesterday, and he said, we did something last night that's only been done 2 other times since you've been coaching. And I'm racking my brain because I hadn't looked at the stat sheet yet. And it's like, I wasn't sure we shot 6 threes. And that was a low number for us, and we pounded the paint. And I mean, it wasn't like back to the basket post-ups. It was Hayden penetrating and Reaghan penetrating and Savannah penetrating and Shay getting in there. And Bailey had an awesome up and under to start the fourth quarter. But they just consistently pounded the paint. And I think that's what led to the free throws and everything. As Cooper started getting more and more tired, I think they started reaching a little more, and our girls just didn't let up.
Was that a conscious effort to drive like that, or did it just kind of natural flow of the game, or were they keeping you from shooting the threes and forcing you to go inside?
I think part of it is they do a really good job extending out, and I think where their legs might have been a little heavy, they maybe not as solid as they normally are on the on-ball defense. But I also think that there wasn't anywhere – they've got some really good defenders, and then they've got some that are used to guarding post players. And we don't really have that matchup. And it didn't matter where they put their defenders that are normally on somebody that they don't have to worry about moving around and driving. I feel like we typically found that spot and were able to take advantage of it.
So go on.
So you mentioned Hayden driving, Reaghan driving, Savannah driving. Obviously, there's somebody sitting beside of you who we haven't seen yet. So as a coach, how big of an impact is that to have her on the bench, not only like fully engaged, but she had a clipboard on Saturday, and she was telling the girls, there's a picture her mom posted for Senior Sunday, and you all are almost like standing the same pointing. So, Allie, as a player, I want to know, how's it helped your game? And, Coach, you can address how big it is to have her on the bench.
Right now, like, my perspective on it is this is literally the only thing I have control over to impact the team. And watching practice and watching games, I just noticed, like, it's an eye-opener for me whenever I come back to make sure to hold them accountable for what I see and hold myself accountable, not just them. And the response they had from Henry Clay to Cooper was, like, great. Because it was like the defense against Henry Clay was just all over the place. Our reactions, our responses, and then it was like we came in and we talked about it and we put some stuff on the board, and it was like they went out there and they just did everything they had to do. They did their jobs, most importantly.
Yeah. Allie has been my person throughout this, and we have talked a lot. And I think it's really good for her because she's seeing the other side of it. It's even better for me because I'm getting their perspective. And Thursday night, that was part of the post game. I told the girls this. Thursday night was one of the toughest post game interviews that I've done in my career. And it did not go well, and it was all over the map as far as reasons why, and not particularly reasons that I wanted to get into on the radio.
Right.
And coming out Saturday and seeing the response that the girls had, and having Allie over there, and she's over there. We talked a lot about defense and all that, and I was talking to Dan Thursday night after the Henry Clay game. I took full responsibility for Notre Dame and Henry Clay, and early on in the year with our injuries and with just our numbers, and I got away from really what's been our core identity since this group's been playing, and it's been good, solid man-to-man defense. And we wasted a lot of time, from my perspective, trying to compensate and trying to maybe mask some areas that might be issues instead of just chipping away and improving our identity. I was trying to cover things up, and it cost us at Notre Dame, and Henry Clay was really the first time that we got back to mainly playing man, and it wasn't pretty. And Saturday against Cooper, I mean, we still had breakdowns, but just the effort to recover and the focus on like, doing my job, doing individually. And if we get 5 people out there that can all say, I did my job, we don't have anything to worry about, and we know where everybody's going to be. And I think sometimes we get a little overwhelmed and we start to think, well, she's supposed to be doing that, or she should have done that. And it's like, you take care of yours, and let's make sure that doesn't slip. And we'll address the singular issue instead of, all right, I'm not doing mine because she's not doing hers, and now we got all 5 of you not doing what you're supposed to be doing because one person thought they needed to do the other person's job. It's like, you take care of yours, and if there's a glaring hole, we'll fix the one issue and move on. And the girls did a fantastic job, even when there were breakdowns, of recovering Saturday.
So, girls, you all have been mainly quiet, which is unusual for some of you all.
Hayden, why did he look at you?
I don't know.
I mean, she
Cool
was
shirt, I
talking
guess.
as we were coming on the air. So, how big a confidence booster was Saturday? We'll start with Savannah.
Well, for me, I think it was huge. I feel like we needed that win to show what we're capable of this season. And I want to prove people wrong this season.
Right.
About what we're all capable of.
We're going to go in order, down the line.
Like Savannah said, it was a great confident boost. We needed it for upcoming games because Russell and Ashland, and we got GRC coming up in Bourbon, so that's just great for us. We need it.
I think it was a confidence boost, not just because future games or whatever, but working on a 3-loss streak would be hard to come back from just mentally and physically too, because we're playing rough teams. So I think just in a whole, it was really good for us in the current too.
You're not excluded from that question either.
Before they went out to play, we were talking about how they had played Sacred Heart the night before. And we were talking about how they only lost by 12, which is solid. Mm-hmm. And I just looked at it and was like, that should just make you want to win even more, prove a point. And I think that's exactly what they did. And I think that just shows, whenever you don't go out there afraid, it just shows how capable you are.
Well, it's got to prove to you guys, you can play with the top teams in the state. So, right. Like Coach said, anywhere between 3 and 5 is where they fall in the rankings. That means there's only just a few number of teams that they think are better than them. And
we played Thursday night, come in on Friday, short turn, and we watched an entire half of one of the films that we had on Kiper. And my whole purpose for that wasn't X's and O's and schemes or anything like that. When we got done with watching that half, my whole purpose for it was somebody tell me one thing that they did on this film that we're not capable of. And there were a couple of possessions in the first quarter of that film where the team that they were playing zoned them the entire half. And Kiper would come down and they probably passed up a couple of shots on 2 or 3 possessions. They were super patient. They scored 20 points in the first quarter. And it's one of those, we felt like they were really patient and they're on pace for 80. And it's you work for the great one and you start driving that efficiency up. It's not always about quantity. You start getting the great shots as opposed to settling for the good shots, and we can shoot a smaller number of attempts and start increasing our production.
So, hey, you, obviously, you're the scorer. You get going, gets everybody else rolling. How good is it for you, though, when a Savannah can take over and go to the rim, when a Reaghan can take over and go to the rim? How easy does that make it for you?
I'm passionate about this because last night, Sunday, in the second half, I think it was probably midway through the third, they started face guarding me, just in my face, I wasn't getting a look.
And that girl's a dog on defense.
Yeah.
She was a dog.
Yeah, and I think that, obviously in his mind, he was okay, if we can't have her touch the ball, then I don't know how much more of a run they can go on. Maybe we can come back and beat them. But the way Reaghan and Savannah and just everyone else on the court honestly stepped up and, took on that role of making sure they got to the basket, making sure that they were able to get the ball in was so beneficial. And I think it just shows how good our team is as a whole. It's not just one person, it's every single one of us.
And I'll add to that as far as on the offensive end, that was great. On the defensive end, Shea was running half of their offense before they were. And she cut off a few things that were they've got 2 or 3 quick hitter sets that they're only going to show a couple of times throughout the game, and they expect to hit them when they run them. And Savannah cut one off, and you could just Shay has an ability to. She's got a sense for that type of thing on defense, and whether she was talking it out or putting herself in position or whatever, she made a major impact, taking points off the board that they were desperate for down the stretch.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Okay, keep going. I thought you had a question.
I do.
Okay.
Reaghan, I'm coming to you now. So you're one of my favorites. Like, we've talked about this multiple times.
I mean, he likes all of you all.
Appreciate it.
So, listen, Allie, I have to like her. She's family.
You don't have to. No, that's more reason not to.
Reaghan, there was a point in the game where it was just like, we got Reaghan, they don't. Did you feel that on the court? Because you were just getting to the rim anytime you wanted.
Well, I don't stop when I go to the rim. Like,
Really?
No,
She's going.
I call it tuck and cover.
Breaking news.
Hey, listen, she's not lying.
No, I
There was
call
one
it-
time there were 2 girls there, and she bodied through both of them.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's called tuck and cover. It's like a football player, tuck the ball and go. But
Well, I mean, they don't call traveling nowadays, so you might as well.
Hey, she don't travel. She holds it like a running back and gets through and puts her shot up every time.
that's where like my strength comes in because my dad helped me with all that. Last year.
Your dad's strong?
No, my dad.
Never would have guessed it.
No, me and my dad fight all the time. Don't worry.
Oh.
WWE. No, but last year we were all flopping on the floor, and there's no way last year we could have drove like that, all of us, because all of us do drive through all them people, not just me. But the older we've gotten, we've gotten strong, and now we can just push through people, and they can't body us up anymore.
Well, I mean, speaking of flopping on the floor, Darren and I was at the opening night game against Fleming County, and I'm like, how many times can these girls hit the floor every time you turn around? Hayden was laying on the floor, and I was like, I think she has more trips to the floor than she does points tonight.
Listen, Hayden Barrier lands in the most awkward positions I've ever seen a kid land and not get injured.
Right?
I don't know how you do it.
I
don't know how you do it.
Just flies around, just lays flat and gets back up.
And we'll land straight on her knee and just perfect and get up. And I'm
We've actually talked about that since then.
Well,
Yeah, Coach has to push up.
the one thing that I did gather from watching you guys play for the first time was you don't want to be made mad, Hayden. I could see that because once those girls made you mad, flips or you flipped.
It's called a switch.
A switch.
Thank you.
That's the thing that normally flips.
Yeah.
It flips.
I mean, and you just kind of started playing more aggressively. Your shot was falling. I cracked up when you hit that 3-pointer and turned around and just laughed at that girl who's running down the floor. And I was like, oh, we're that kind of player.
Well, I mean, she doesn't play with any emotion.
No.
None.
None.
You don't know what's going through her mind as she's playing. So, I mean, you do a good job of hiding it.
Hayden is so calm out
So
there.
calm.
Even killed.
Never know.
Never know.
So we had somebody send a message in and wants to know how are you enjoying playing point this year? Because that's new to you, right?
It is. Last night. Was it last night? Am I making sense?
No, this is
Saturday
night.
2 nights.
All right, sorry.
I wasn't going to correct you. I was going to let you keep going with last night.
Last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
I told my dad the other night that was probably the hardest game that I've ever played just because I had to handle the ball so much, and I obviously don't handle it outside of this or haven't in a while. And that defender was so good. I don't mind playing point guard, but nights like that kind of make me wish that we...
I think I saw she signed with Liberty, right?
Yeah, yes.
Is Alexandra the one that signed, or was that
15.
Luber's?
Whoever 15 is.
Yeah,
I think
she's the one that signed with
Okay.
Liberty. So, I mean, like I said, she's a dog on defense.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and I think she's averaging 3 shot attempts a game. And when I am watching the film, she's my biggest concern.
Right.
And typically you're looking at who's averaging the most points, and I just want to get the thing across half court. And that's one thing that Ethan Dunn brings for our boys. Just that on-ball pressure that it's misery. And that's something that a lot of that's genetics. Just having that quick twitch, being able to stay in front of it. But that's one thing that we've really been focusing on over about the last week is consistent ball pressure. And we're getting there.
So, Savannah, a lot of people have been asked questions. You have not been asked that many questions yet.
I was going to ask her one.
Well,
but
we
you
can
can
back-to-back
go.
questions. Back-to-back questions.
And then we'll rotate back that way.
Then we'll go back that way. So, new to the team this year. Tell us about your adjustment. How has that been for you?
Well, let me start off saying I love all these girls. I love all of them. Like
that's a politician answer. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get down to the real stuff.
I went to Lafayette last year, and I could just tell I'm a different player from where I was when I was at Lafayette. I feel like I connect more with my teammates here, and I feel like they all accepted me when I first came here, and they treated me like I've been here, like how long? I don't even know how long y'all been.
Their life.
Their whole life.
Yeah, and they treated me like they all comforted me when I got here, and they're like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was just like I've been here the whole time.
Sisterhood.
Yeah, sister. Yeah, that's basically
That's living in the country is what that is.
Yeah. It's a big difference. I lived in Lexington, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what is Montgomery County? Like I've never heard of it in my life.
Right.
Because
do y'all have a mall? No, we got a Walmart.
We got a Walmart. We got a Walmart's.
We can go to a Walmart for a little bit. No,
yeah.
I'm just joking. But
no way.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a. Stop. Chill.
Now y'all gonna make her laugh.
Yeah.
And she's getting ready to have to answer another question.
So Savannah.
Yes.
You're a right-handed player.
Right.
But when you put that ball in your left hand,
yeah,
nobody's stopping you from getting to the rim. Is that your go-to move?
I don't know. I just went left on Saturday. I just kept going left and left.
And it goes in more times than it don't.
Why are y'all not forcing me right when they kept forcing me left, knowing I'm right-handed because they shoot the ball. And they just kept forcing me left, so I was like, okay, I can score with my left hand too. Y'all can't.
I would almost argue you can score better with your left than you can your right.
You do go to your left.
Because that left
then I guess I'm left-handed now. I don't know.
That left is dominant.
That's just what you call consistent talent right there is what that is.
Yeah.
You and Tyce play one-on-one, any?
Yes, but he's 6'5". It's so hard to win. Like it's like when I was little, when we were both little, when we first started playing basketball, I was always taller than all my family members. And then I think when he was in 7th grade, he hit his growth spurt. And he was like 6'1", and I was still my height right now. Then he was like 6'2", and then we had to play one-on-one before when we were at workouts. And he just hit me with the double crossover between the legs behind the back, and I just flew. I was like, oh my gosh, he's just like so good now. I just can't stop him like I
That's
could.
when you just throw the ball at him.
Yeah, I
just throw it at his head.
I remember one time when we were young and we were at the YMCA, and I beat him in a 1v1. He went to go hide in the closet because he was so mad. I beat him. He went to go hide in the little closet, and now he just beats me every time.
But you always have that one moment that you can be like, you remember when I made you hide in the closet?
Yeah.
That one time.
Yeah,
down Cherry Hill.
Just because he's tall, I'm not scared of him. I tell him all the time, I will beat you again. Just wait.
For anyone that's been under a rock, her brother Tyce plays for the Montgomery County boys as well. So he's pretty good from what I've heard.
No, you're up for Reaghan now.
So Reaghan, where do we go from here? I mean, we just coming off a huge win. Like we got to keep it going, but where do we go from here?
Well, this week's going to be very important because we have a district game coming up, Bourbon.
That's a boy-girl doubleheader, right?
Yes, that's going to be fun. I'll always love them. But because their boys bring a big crowd too, so there's going to be a bunch of people there. But this week is important because not just Bourbon, we got a full week ahead of us too because we got Gateway Classic coming up, and that's some really good teams. So, this is a very important week to practice and get going and just keep going with, I guess, our practice. I don't know. There you go. Your turn.
So, I got a quick question. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room. You joined the 2,000 point club.
Woohoo!
I mean, that's
Thanks, guys.
That's a pretty big deal. According to the leaderboard,
That's fourth.
fourth.
Boys or girls.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're in pretty esteemed company. How does that make you feel?
Good, but I'd like to beat my mom. That's how it makes me feel like
Okay.
I want to beat my mom.
How close are you?
500 something points if I did the math right the other day.
It's a good
Sounds
bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to try, though. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, within the next week or so, you should jump into second place because you're much closer to second place than first. But it's doable. I mean, the math is there. You get some good runs. You know, it can be done. But it'll be cool either way
Right.
to someday look up here and go, that's me and my mom, right?
Yeah.
And be 1 and 2. That's pretty cool.
It is.
Talking to Chris and Beth yesterday, it'd be like 40 to 50 points a game.
Okay, so.
To make it.
Did he say that?
Not doable.
Coach I's figuring it up in his head. I think how many games we got left?
No, I think coming in, I think it's in that 20 to 25 range.
Okay.
But it's doable.
You all just
It's-
keep talking me up. I'll get there.
Well, and
You just
I
keep
tell
making
you,
shots.
And I've told her, even
Volleyball.
Saturday, I thought Saturday was one of the better games that Hayden has ever played. And it wasn't because she scored 30. She handled possibly the toughest ball pressure that we're going to see and just kept her composure and come down on a dead sprint and get space and get us into some offense. And that, it looks really simple on TV, but when you got that thing and you're trying to buy time to allow people to get to where they need to go to run some offense, and it's a skill, and it's something that she hasn't had to do in 3 seasons, and she's still getting used to it again. And she did a really good job Saturday and was still able to take advantage of opportunities and put in 17.
So, Hayden, I like this little tandem we got.
Yeah, we got a good one.
So, we've talked about earlier, we talked about the Notre Dame game, the Henry Clay game, and then how you got up for Cooper. What do you all need to do to make sure it's not just Cooper, but it's every game you all bring that momentum?
I think a lot of it started to turn around when we were driving. So, I mean, it went from us kind of driving, not getting calls. But, I mean, at some point, if we just keep driving over and over and over and over, we're going to get a call. And then from that, our energy just completely shifted. We went from kind of being frustrated with each other, frustrated with the refs and Coach I, and it just completely changed. We all
Wait,
came
you
together.
get frustrated with Coach I?
Never.
I didn't
Actually,
think so.
I take that one
You
back.
you
So
didn't mean
Coach
that.
I.
She just tried to sneak
Yeah,
that
she's
in.
like, I didn't mean that.
Now, one thing that we talked about pregame, and they put themselves, they had their own conversation in the locker room before we talked at the end of the JV game, and they had listed out some things that they wanted to do, things that we needed to improve on. Wrote it down on the board, and when I went in there, it's like I was planning on talking about this one, and you all have already talked about it. And as far as the frustrations go, I think our energy was used Saturday to pick people up and to focus in on our own responsibilities. And when that's the focus, there's not much time to get bent out of shape over other things when you're constantly looking for somebody to pick up, or like, hey, it's all right, we'll go get it back, or what do I need to do? Like, when you're focused about those things, you don't have time to get frustrated over some of the noise surrounding those things. And like I said earlier, I never felt like we went in at the half down 10, and I think we all felt pretty good. I mean, we competed.
I'm glad to hear you all felt good, because in the stands, I was like, guys, it feels like Cooper is this close to just taking over.
And that was going in. We scored 14 points in the first half.
Right. And then scored 50 in the
They scored 24. Well, they scored 24 in the first half, and the film that I spent the most time on was them against Assumption, and Assumption's got a good team this year, and Assumption gave up 20 in the first quarter, and they hit a couple. I felt like they really kind of gapped it in the last 90 seconds of the first half. They hit a couple threes, and it was like a 3-point game, and we go in down 10, and it's like that was probably 15 really good minutes. We got to find a way to avoid that
last spurt.
Yeah, and coming out in the second half, strung together a couple of stops and saw a few go through, and I think it just snowballed our direction, but we just kept coming. And I think that's important moving forward, that we're just looking to that next one. Whether things are going good or things are going bad, like we're like got to go play that next one. Like we can't do anything about anything that's already happened. We got to go get the next one.
You mentioned something earlier about right before halftime. You kind of saw that tired look on the other player. Is that one of those things that kind of led you to believe like we might have something here, with them being a little tired going into the half? You're like, all right, if we keep this pressure up, we might be able to get them to collapse a little bit.
Well, and it's like you never expect that team to collapse, and like that coach and that program, like I've got more respect for what they do and the way they do it. And it's like you watch a JV game, and it's all the way down the line. Like they got that thing rolling. You just don't expect to ever see them stumble.
Yeah.
And to see that look before the half, it did give a little like maybe. Hey, there's a crack.
There's a nugget.
So the girls obviously alluded to them driving and attacking, and that's one thing I'll commend you all on. That's something that I've noticed this year different than the past. Like in the past, you all, one, Reaghan, you mentioned it, you wasn't physical enough to do that. Two, it would be like, oh crap, I'm driving to the rim and they're not calling fouls, and you all wouldn't really adjust. I think this year you all are doing a better job adjusting to the physicality and how the refs are actually calling the game. Going forward, I don't know. We got Bourbon next, right?
Yeah.
What do y'all think about Bourbon?
They're not the most skilled, but they're physical.
Reaghan.
Well, it's true, and they're physical.
They are physical.
Yeah, they're
physical.
gritty. They're going to get on
And-
the floor.
and
If you don't want a direct answer, you better not ask her. I can tell you that.
She looked at Coach High like, back me up on that. Like
You've seen what I've seen.
Well, it's not a
You're right.
shot. Yeah.
You're right.
I'm just saying.
They're physical.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That was our thought when we went in down 18 2 years ago at home
All right.
at the
Yeah,
half.
but we're better than ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So when do we play that game?
Fantastic.
Friday night.
Are you all the first game?
Yes.
So you play
As far as I know, I
you
haven't
play at
heard
6,
otherwise.
boys play at 7:45.
Yeah.
So, Allie, how's the ankle coming along? And when do you expect to be back?
I
For
don't
the
really,
record, I haven't talked to him at all. So
I don't really have an answer for when I'll be back,
Yeah.
but I did get my MRI results, and everything looks good on it. So I'm gonna continue to do PT
Nice.
and just kind of go from there, just to see
Right.
where I'm at.
Right.
I guess.
Fair enough.
Allie.
What?
So let's talk a little non-basketball issues here.
Uh-oh.
Issues.
Bringing up family drama.
So there's a couple taking the NFL by storm right now. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Here in Montgomery County on the sidelines, there's been another couple kind of starting to form here.
A power couple?
A power couple, if you
Okay.
will.
Couple.
The
I put them
power
together.
couple.
It was actually
It was me and my mom. It was me
and my mom. I was
Let's go.
No, listen, because like, oh no, yes.
We're gonna
And,
drop
it
some
was
tea right
it
here.
was like
Spill the
putting it on
tea.
to somebody, and I was like, okay, I got you. And I remember I remember the exact moment. Luke looked so much.
I didn't even
different.
say the name yet. You've already dropped the name out.
It's Luke. Sorry, it's Luke.
Do
It's
not
Luke's
expose
Fonz.
me.
It's Luke Fonz. Sorry. Anyways,
Get married
I'm
after
so
high
sorry,
school.
Allie. He was walking down the stairs, and he looked so different than he did in the summer. And Allie was like, "Is that Luke?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "He looks good." And I remember, and then Luke was like, my mom was like, "How about Allie? How about Allie?" And then I told Allie, "No, what happened? I gave
Allie's
your
face
daughter.
is the color of that helmet right now.
Yeah. I gave Luke
Allie, I
her
didn't
number.
know we were going down this road, but I'm glad we did.
Okay, yes, and now look at them. They're going to get married. I'll be at their wedding, and I will tell a speech.
Okay.
Oh.
All
So,
right.
note to self: if we ever want to know anything,
Ask Savannah.
we just invite
Savannah just
back.
become our best friend.
Savannah knows everything.
Allie, you got anything to add to that?
Savvy, bro.
At
the same time.
No, I'm screen recording this.
Savvy has a little boyfriend.
Savvy has a little
Yeah,
man.
she does.
Don't say that out loud, please.
Oh. Forget that little part. Y'all didn't
I
hear
do
that.
know, but
Yeah.
he's not
It's on the
irrelevant right now.
down
It's
low.
on the DL
Got you.
because he's
Okay. Why don't we change the subject, Adam?
Okay, let's change the
Way to
subject.
go, Adam.
Hey, look,
You asked for it.
These are the days of our
I
lives.
asked Allie a question, and Savannah came with the good info. I like
Good
that.
answer, Savannah.
Savannah,
Yeah, it was good.
I told these guys before we started recording. Every time I've seen you, you're like soft-spoken and sweet and smiling and everything.
Oh no.
But then you get on the court, and it's like an alter ego takes over, and it's
I feel like when I moved here, they all match my energy. Like when I first met Hayden and I watched film on her, I was like, she acts just like me. Like my old team, when I would do all that, they would just like look at me all weird. So I had to like act like not myself. I had to like not be myself. But when I moved here, they all get hyped like I get hyped. Like I don't know if y'all have seen the pictures of me like screaming and stuff.
I don't need to see pictures. I've been there. I've seen her
Oh,
in
yeah.
person.
Yeah, it's
No, I'm not
She gets
showing
it's
my
prominent on the court, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're so cute.
The best one from Saturday is when she blocked the girl,
Oh, God.
and she's going this way, hopped up, and Hayden is on the baseline doing the foot.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Hayden.
Hayden does.
I'll look it up on film.
Don't
That is
play.
that is like a
The stomps will
the
come
stomp
out.
is.
The stomps are coming out, and you're letting the girl know, and you're
That's-
flexing, and I'm
yeah,
like,
that's what
okay.
it's all-
I got in trouble.
Stomps.
Was it Fleming County when I called a girl little and Coach I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Trouble.
Went a little too far with that.
Yeah, my bad.
One time,
Worse than me.
one time you went left and finished, of course, and then I couldn't tell if she was barking at the girl or barking at the ref for an and one, but she was letting somebody know the whole way down the floor.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, Coach, I mean, they talked earlier that this is a sisterhood. I mean, we can see some of that right now. So, I mean, the team is shaping up like it could be a very special season for you guys. How do you feel that? Like, how many games are we through?
4.
4. So, how do you feel through 4 games?
I think we've seen both ends of the spectrum through 4 games, as much as you could in a 4-game stretch. It's the great thing about this group. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because they are like sisters.
Nice.
And we have our moments where they're ready to claw each other's eyes out.
Yeah.
And we gotta manage those times to get to these times, and they've done a really good job of, even when there might be arguments or something in the locker room, that once we cross the line, that we're all working toward a common purpose. And I think the last week we have really hammered on that.
Well, I mean, and you have some adjustments that you're making, right? You're not playing with Allie. You've had her, consistently over the last couple of years. Not playing with Elaine. You've brought in Savannah. So they're trying to, like, mold together through that whole repetition, not to mention playing 2 really good teams back-to-back in a couple of days there as well. So, but we have a loaded schedule. You did that on purpose to be ready for February, March. And by that time, Allie should be back. All the kinks will be worked out, and hopefully we'll be rolling good by the time tournament time rolls around. So
yeah, and that's always the goal. And there's going to be stretches. I mean, we get through this season without a 3-game skid, it'll be a major accomplishment. And just looking at some stretches that we've got on our schedule, and that stretch that we start January with, we can play well and drop 3 or 4, and that's all right. I mean, as long as we are figuring things out and making improvements and growing, that's what it's all about. And by the time we get to the middle of February and start into the district tournament and regional tournament, hopefully we're ready to make a run.
Nice. I've asked questions. I think I'm out of questions.
Last time I asked a question, Allie's face turned as red as Sean's shirt.
It wasn't quite that red. I'm gonna take up for Allie. It wasn't quite that red.
Thank you. You're a hater.
I'm not a hater.
You're a hater.
I'm not a hater. Sean, you got anything?
Question-wise, no. I do have a one other bit of information, though. We've got our Athlete of the Week to announce.
Okay.
So, we are an all-sport supporter of our Athletes of the Week, right? On Saturday, our state runner-up boys bowling team rolled over to Danville in the...
I like what you did. Rolled over.
Rolled over. I got that.
Rolled over to the first inaugural Bergen Invitational in Danville. Had 13 teams in the tournament and walked away with the victory. So, those 6 bowlers were Mason Hatfield, Hayden Trimble, Alex Carty, Noah Hall, Ronan Ingram, and Ashton McCoy. So they are our KimSoft Athletes of the Week for this week. So congratulations, fellas.
Good job, guys.
So, ladies, you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up? Savannah, you got any more tea you want to spill?
Actually,
I don't have anything.
I want an inspirational quote from Reaghan.
Yeah, say something, Reaghan.
No,
How about that?
I don't
Like in your face.
So, Reaghan, somebody out there is listening right now. They just need some motivation.
Oh, it's like that one. You remember that? No, I can't say that.
So say it.
World.
Say it.
What did that post say? Keep calm and basketball season's here.
It's
Is
what
that
I'm
what it
saying.
said?
Keep calm and basketball season's here. Woo woo.
She gave a
Can we
woo.
end?
She did give a
Slay.
They just backed up.
Look at here.
We're wrapping up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, there
Look
you
out
have
for
it.
us this season.
Listen.
That's all I gotta say.
There you have it for another episode of the From Corner to Corner Coaches Corner presented by Community Trust Bank. If you haven't already, go out and make sure that you like us on Facebook and share this out so friends can see what we got going on here. Great interview with the girls and coach here tonight. As always, we do this for our players, for our fans, for our community.
And our community.
And
our
our
community.
community's community.
We'll catch you guys next week.
Stay safe, friends.
The MOCO Four Horsemen would like to thank you for listening to From Corner to Corner. Be sure to go out and follow us on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube. Whatever podcast platform that you listen to us on, be sure to go out and give us a 5-star review. Thanks as always, and we look forward to seeing you next week.